Okay, today we're going to talk about pay periods and hourly rates. This is something that will apply to you guys. When you start working, you want to know how much you're going to make. And you need to make sure that your paychecks are correct. So there's things that in the reading that you'll need to know. When you do start working, sometimes you get paid weekly. There's 52 weeks in a year, remember that. Sometimes you get paid bi-weekly, which is every other week, which means there would be 26 paychecks in a year. Some businesses pay their employees semi-monthly, which means twice a month. So 2 times 12 would be 24 checks in a year. You could get paid monthly, although that's not really common. And that would be only 12 paychecks a year, of course. So certain jobs, whether full or part-time, requires the employees to work a specific number of hours. Those are regular hours. And regular hours are up to 40 hours a week. And if you work anything over 40, then those are overtime hours, and you get paid a bonus for that. The overtime hourly rate usually is bigger than the regular rate. So for the first 40 hours, you would get paid whatever your normal rate is, and then anything you work over 40 hours, you get extra pay for that. The overtime hourly rate can sometimes be 1.5 times your regular hourly rate. It's called time and a half. So you get your regular time plus another half. Sometimes the over rate's 2 times. That's double time. Okay? Your total pay, which is the sum of all your hourly pay and your overtime pay, is your gross pay. Now, this is before anything like taxes are withheld or benefits are withheld, anything that's coming out of your paycheck that's withheld. This is before all of that. That is your gross pay. Okay? So let's look at a few examples. So Christina is paid bi-weekly. So that's every other week. So that would be 26 paychecks in a year. Her annual salary is $37,000. What is her biweekly salary? Well, you just take $37,000 divided by 26, and that gives you the biweekly amount, $1,423.08. Some algebraic problems. It says Carlos earns X dollars biweekly. Express his annual salary algebraically. Well, if this is what he gets biweekly, every 2 weeks, and there's 26 paychecks a year, if you're getting paid bi-weekly, it would simply be 26 times X. Manny is paid semi-monthly. His semi-monthly salary is $1,239. What is his annual salary? Remember, semi-monthly meant twice a month, which means 2 times 12 would be 24 paychecks in a year. So if this is his semi-monthly salary, to find his annual salary, you would simply multiply 1,239 times 24 to get the 29,736. Alex is paid semi-monthly. His annual salary is Y dollars. Express his semi-monthly salary algebraically. This is what he makes in a year. To get his semi-monthly, you would just take this and divide it by 24. Just like that. That would be the answer to that question. Okay, Maureen works at a local Chicken King restaurant. Her regular hours are her regular hourly wage is $9.70. If she works regularly 40 hours a week, what's her regular weekly pay? You just multiply those together, and you get $388. Okay. Roger works 8 hours per week at a rate of D dollars per hour. So in a week, he's going to make however many hours he works times whatever dollar amount he's paid per hour. His annual salary would be this times how many paychecks he gets in a year. Well, he works per week. He gets weekly. So this would be times 52 because he gets paid weekly and there's 52 weeks in a year. If Maureen, from example 3, works overtime, she receives an hourly rate of 1.5 times her regular hourly rate. What is Maureen's hourly overtime rate? What is her hourly overtime rate? Well, it's called time and a half. Okay, So if she gets $9.70 per hour, her overtime rate would be this times 1.5. That's how you figure time and a half. So take whatever your hourly rate is, multiply it times 1.5. This is 1.5 times your hourly rate. So that would be her overtime rate. So every hour she works over 40, this is what she's getting every hour. Okay. If Marianne earns Y dollars per hour regularly, express her hourly overtime rate algebraically if she is paid time and a half. This is her hourly rate. Her hourly overtime would be 1.5 times that. And that's the answer. Janice earns $10 per hour if her regular hours are 40 hours per week and she receives time and a half overtime. Find her total pay for a week in which she works 45 hours. So her first 40 hours at her regular rate, that's $400. That's for the first 40 hours. How many hours did she work overtime? Well, if she worked 45 hours, she worked 5 hours overtime. What is her overtime rate? You take this times 1.5. That would be 15 per hour for every overtime hour. Well, 15 times 5, $15 an hour for the 5 overtime hours is $75. To find her total gross pay, you take these two numbers and add them up and you get 75. So, all right. Samantha worked 40 regular hours last week plus 7 overtime hours at time and a half. Her gross pay was $611.05. What was her hourly rate? So now we're trying to figure out what her regular hourly rate was. Well, we know that the gross pay is equal to her regular pay plus overtime pay. Her regular pay is 40 hours times whatever she gets paid, plus the 7 hours of overtime times 1.5 what she gets paid. So X represents the amount that she's getting per hour, her regular pay. So 40 hours times her regular pay, plus 7 overtime hours times 1.5 her regular pay equals what she made total. So here's your equation that you can solve. Multiply 7 times 1.5 to get 10.5 X, and then you can add these together to get 50.5X equals 611.05. Divide both sides by 50.5 and you get X equals 1210. That is her regular hourly rate. Let's look at this one. Jillian worked 40 regular hours last week plus 2 overtime hours at double time. So instead of 1.5 times her rate, this would be 2 times her rate. It's double time. Her gross pay was $484. What was her hourly rate? So we're going to set this one up very similar to what we did here. Her regular pay would be 40 hours times her hourly rate. Then she's getting overtime, 2 hours at double her rate. So whatever X was, her regular rate, we're going to double it. 2 hours of overtime times double her regular pay is equal to 484. And now we have an equation we can solve. Multiply those together. 40x plus 4x equals 484. These are like terms we can add together. 44x equals 484. Dividing both sides by 44, you get x equals 11. So her regular rate was $11 per hour. Okay. That's how you check to make sure your paycheck is correct.